The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
You could be driving.
Honda has won more U.S. News and World Report awards than any other brand in the last decade. And now you can add another one to the list, being named the best car brand of 2022. Come get your Honda today at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Siega Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Today's edition of the Clarence Bud Show. Here's hoping all is well with you and yours in your world. Since the last opportunity we had to spend a little time with you, roughly some 24 hours ago. We start today's show, unfortunately, talking yet again about the ever-growing crime problem here in Louisiana, and more particularly the southern part of our state. New Orleans police announcing that they've now arrested a second person in connection with the homicide of 12-year-old Derek Cash. What is particularly troubling about this second arrest is that records show 19-year-old Tyree Connerly, booked Monday evening with second-degree murder. The NOPD confirms that this 19-year-old had been engaged in criminal activity, arrested numerous times, and for whatever reason, the district attorney's office refused to prosecute. According to court records, Connerly was arrested and booked by the NOPD last February with 10 different alleged crimes in 3 separate cases. But he was released from custody and all bond obligations on 9 of the counts when the DA failed to institute charges in the 5 months before the Article 701 deadline. Connerly was booked last February 14th with illegally carrying of weapons, illegal possession of stolen things, and possession of a stolen auto. He was released on those counts July 14th, and his bond obligations expired. He was booked with purse snatching while jailed on February 15th. Court records show that prosecution of that case was refused by the DA's office. Connerly was also booked February 16th with 6 counts of simple burglary. His release from custody and bond obligations for all of those counts was ordered July 16th after once again Orleans Parish prosecutors failed to institute charges before the deadline. For most reasonable people, this is a case of you could have seen this coming. I, as a conservative, and you well know this, are completely against federal government overreach into issues involving the states. But in this case, where the feds have announced that they are going to prosecute the first individual under federal charges, I have no problem with it. At some point, y'all, we have got to send a message, because this has gotten completely and totally out of control. Meanwhile, here in Baton Rouge, what is, and y'all please accept this in the spirit that it's given, one of the most horrendous, because, and I ask for your understanding, because all homicides are horrific. But in the case recently here in Baton Rouge, where two juveniles get into a fight, pull out weapons, start firing, and as is the case so many times, it's an innocent bystander that ends up getting shot. 36-year-old mother of a 3-year-old is now dead. And this darling child will get to spend the rest of its life only hearing stories or looking at pictures, all because two juveniles didn't care anymore about her life, their lives, or anybody else's life, and saw fit to settle their argument with a gun. By the way, and it pains me to have to say this, if you have any information regarding the individuals involved, please, y'all, call Crime Stoppers, 344-STOP. Because if you know something and don't say something, imagine the burden you will carry if that same individual then kills someone else, much less someone you love. It's probably why, well, I won't say probably, I will say in no uncertain terms, it is exactly why the district attorney in the Acadia area has decided, you know what, y'all? Enough's enough. Finally, somebody's getting it. DA Don Landry says his office, which covers Acadia, Lafayette, and Vermilion parishes, is prepared to move in the direction of juveniles being accused of violent crimes now being charged as adults. Quote, if juveniles want to use guns and commit violent crimes in the 15th JDC, then they will be prosecuted as adults. We have to deter our juveniles from committing these crimes, and we have to aggressively prosecute them. He goes on to say, if someone aged 15, 16, or 17 is accused of committing a violent crime like murder, rape, kidnapping, or battery, or aggravated battery, his office will take the case before a grand jury, which could then indict the teen as an adult. In reading this story, as horrific as the mere thought is, this really stood out. Since July, y'all, 9 juveniles in Lafayette Parish have been accused of first or second degree murder, 2 in Acadia, 1 in Vermilion. Juveniles accused of attempted first or second degree murder jumps to 26 in Lafayette Parish, 19 in Acadia, and 3 in Vermilion. Traditionally, when we hear Acadia, Vermilion, Lafayette parishes, we tend to think of smaller, more rural areas. It's not like you're talking Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Shreveport. We're talking places that traditionally we've thought of as being safe. Of course, now, not so very long ago, we viewed Baton Rouge the same way. And we all know what crime, particularly violent crime, and violent crime involving juveniles has become in our city. It is, to say the very least, troubling, because this is our future. This is the future leadership of our country. This is also, lest we forget, a direct reflection on our society and the apparent lack of parenting that's going on. Now listen, you are going to have a whole lot of folk that are going to rush out and try to condemn the DA for all sorts of things. But at the end of the day, it's something that has to be fixed at home. We have a right, y'all, to feel safe in our own homes. We have a right to reach for the car keys for something as mundane as a trip to the grocery store to pick up a loaf of bread without having to worry about whether or not we're coming home alive or our children are coming home alive. And sadly, and you've heard this before, and you know it to be true, there are certain things in life that we have absolutely no control over whatsoever. But this is not one of them, y'all. It's not. We have enough problems to deal with in a state like Louisiana, educationally lacking, economically lacking, add what you will to the list. Lots of things in life we can't do a darn thing about. No matter how hard we try, it's beyond our scope. This is not one of those things, y'all. It's not. And while it is a horrific statement about the nature of the young people that we are raising, it's also an indictment of those who are raising them, allegedly, I might add. I look forward, y'all, to the day where we are so sick and tired of being sick and tired that we stand up, step up, and demand better. First break of today's show. When we come back, been keeping an eye on prices at the gas pump recently? Well, there's good news from the White House. We'll share that with you. Wink, wink, when we come back on today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing.
You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
The Mazda CX-30, named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. Perfect for the journey ahead.
Start your journey in a new Mazda CX-30. Right here at Team Mazda on Airline.
Hi, gang. Clarence Bugs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Bugs Show.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bugs Show. I guess this segment could be categorized as a good news, bad news scenario. We'll start with the bad news. If you went to a gas station last week and filled up or got however much you normally get, you probably went, whoa. That's because, according to GasBuddy.com and my experience around town as well, average gasoline prices in Baton Rouge have risen 9.8 cents per gallon in the last week, averaging $3.11 a gallon today. What this means, according to Gas Buddy, is that gas was cheaper in Baton Rouge 1 month and 1 year ago. Quote, prices in Baton Rouge are 12.7 cents per gallon higher than a month ago and stand 96.2 cents per gallon higher than a year ago. If you search around Baton Rouge, Gas Buddy says, you can find gas as low as $2.82 a gallon. On the other end of the spectrum, the most expensive gas is $3.39 a gallon. Nationally, prices are trending the same way. Quote, the national average of gasoline has risen 8 cents per gallon in the last week, averaging $3.42 a gallon. So why are average prices going up? Quote, gas prices saw their sharpest rise in months last week as oil surged to $93 a barrel on continued concerns over Russia invading Ukraine and that there won't be enough supply to meet demand come this summer. With the national average at its highest since 2014, the news is grim. Motorists should expect even more price increases, with the larger jumps coming later this spring as a confluence of seasonal factors and the potential flare-up in geopolitical tensions. Ultimately, the national average could be pushed to record territory by the start of the summer driving season. That's the bad news. Now I'm going to give you the good news. Incompetence at its highest level, but they would have you believe otherwise. You've seen it at the pump. Gas Buddy just talked about it. But the White House's economic advisor, White House Council of Economic Advisors member Jared Bernstein, stated this week that Joe Biden's plan to control gas prices is, quote, engaging in diplomatic measures to get oil-producing companies to follow their commitments, increasing oil reserves as needed, and using regulation to ensure that consumers aren't abused and price decreases are passed along. He goes on to say that we're talking with oil-producing companies using diplomatic leverage to ask them or get them to produce more oil. You notice something missing here? First order of business for the Biden-Harris administration was to take out the old presidential pen and cancel the Keystone XL pipeline, completely erasing in 1 year our energy independence. Donald J. Trump positioned us to where not only did we not need anybody else's oil and gas, we had enough to use all we wanted and then sell the rest to other folks. And in 1 year, we are now begging other countries, many of whom would like nothing more than to watch our economy crash and burn. Now we're begging these folks, would y'all please produce more? You know what's so insulting about this? Number one, that you have apparently not even a basic understanding of simple supply and demand economics. I mean, you have to literally try to be this incompetent. This is not something that merely happens. You have to work hard to be this incompetent. And what this means, for those of you that slept during that part of your schooling, economics, aside from the thousands and thousands and thousands of American jobs that were killed with the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline, aside from the hundreds, eventually will probably be thousands of additional dollars taken out of the pockets of the American motoring public because we're getting gas from folks that don't really care for us, and you see what the prices are doing. But on top of all of that, the thousands and thousands of jobs lost, the thousands and thousands of jobs of dollars taken out of your pockets, now they're going to take that money and enrich other countries. And yet, these folk will have you believe we're on top of this. We got you covered. This is the same group of doofuses that released 50 million gallons from our Strategic Petroleum Reserve that Donald Trump put in there, by the way. And when he suggested it, buying it because it was so low, this is a great deal for the American public. Oh, the folks on the left lost their minds. You care more in the middle of a pandemic about gas prices than you do about people's lives. You know what's ironic here? For those same folk that said that, gas is now higher, And more people have died from the pandemic during Joe Biden's time in office than Donald Trump's. Now you figure it out. You see how they play you? You see how they play you? He more concerned about gas and people are dying. Well, more people now have died from COVID under Joe Biden, and gas prices are just about at record levels. Is that what you voted for? It's what you got. It's what you got. Listen, y'all, in all seriousness, I desperately hope that you remember this the next time you go to vote. I hope desperately that you remember the next time you go in that booth, staring down the list of people, looking for the D behind the name so you can vote for it. I hope you remember this is the party that wants you to believe a man can be a woman. This is the party that says defund the police while crime is exploding. This is the party that will accuse one guy of only being concerned about gas prices in the midst of a pandemic, and yet more people died under the Democrats' watch than the Republicans. Oh, and did I mention gas prices are at record highs? I hope y'all remember, there's an old saying, you get the government you voted for. That ought to tell you everything you need to know. What we are seeing right now, if you believe them other folks, wink, wink, 81 million of y'all voted for this. How's that working out for you? Just a question. How's that working out for you? It's rhetorical. You don't have to answer. We all know. We all know the situation at our southern border, totally, completely out of control. We all know crime, just talked about it, all across America, exploding. Inflation, ask your wallet. It'll tell you. And yet, you still look for that D behind the name. At some point, y'all, you better wake up. I understand my life experience is not typical. I understand many of you watching right now have never lived anywhere other than Louisiana, much less anywhere other than the United States of America. But you know what ought to prove everything you need to know? Ask the millions of people trying to get in here. They'll tell you. And yet, millions and millions, particularly of brown-skinned people trying to get in, they're letting them in record numbers. But you would let them come in to the most racist place on the planet. Read between the lines, people. Read between the lines. It ain't that hard to figure out. It's not. And just when you thought this lunacy from the White House was enough, folks, you ain't seen nothing yet. Stick around. You're going to want to hear this one when we continue after our bottom of the hour break, only on the Clarence Bugg Show. Stay tight.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Driver assistance technology comes standard on every Camry model as part of Toyota Safety Sense, setting the standard for safety every time you're on the road, no matter the destination. Save on your Camry today at Team Toyota, I-12 at O'Neill.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bud Show. You know, there was a time in this country where we would watch people do certain things, and we would, particularly if we were Louisianians, we would dismiss it as, quote, bless their little hearts, they just don't know no better. But as time has gone on, we start to realize, wait a minute, you can't naturally be this freaking stupid. You apparently have been working hard at this. I mean, you know, stupidity is what stupidity is. But when you get to a certain level, it's as though, boy, y'all really worked hard to achieve this level of stupidity. Enter the federal government yet again, in this case, the Department of Health and Human Services. You are probably aware that last year in this country, in the largest city in America, New York City, deaths from overdoses were more than deaths from automobile accidents and gunshots combined. You heard me right. As bad as the crime problem is in New York, with folks killing each other, those numbers, along with the number of people dying in automobile accidents, overdose deaths, was more than the both of them combined. So the Department of Health and Human Services this week announced that they are about to award $30 million to nonprofit groups to distribute, get this, quote, harm reduction supplies. Now, if you're like me, when you first read the article and you go, oh, harm reduction, they want to reduce harm to people. Why would you be against that? Well, I'm glad you posed that question. This $30 million grant program, which is scheduled to kick in at the beginning of May, will provide funds to nonprofits to make drug use safer for addicts. Included in this grant, overseen by the Department of Health and Human Services, are funds for, quote, smoking kits and supplies. A spokesman for HHS told the Washington Free Beacon that these harm reduction kits will provide pipes for users to smoke crack cocaine, crystal methamphetamine, and any illicit substance, end of quote. HHS says, well, these harm reduction kits will reduce the rate of infection when smoking substances with glass pipes, which can lead to infections through cuts and sores. Applicants for the grant will be prioritized if they treat, here it comes, quote, a majority of underserved communities, including African Americans and LGBTQ plus individuals. They go so far as having established this under Joe Biden's executive order advancing racial equity. So in other words, black folk, the LGBTQ plus, whatever the heck they call themselves today, these folks don't have enough access to, I guess, metal, wooden, whatever, crack pipes. So let's spend $30 million to help them out. All in the interest of racial equity. As insulting as this is, knowing full well already the black community in America is being ravaged by fentanyl, heroin, go down the list. And your solution to racial equity is to spend $30 freaking million to distribute harm reduction kits. If you haven't figured out yet that these folks that many of y'all voted for are complete and total idiots, you are the problem. If you haven't figured out yet that the folks running this administration are totally and completely incapable of simple rational thought, you are the problem. $30 million in the grand scheme of government spending is not even a drop in the bucket, but it's the principle, it's the idea behind it. What kind of freaking lunatic came up with this idea? And the rest of them, Joe Biden leading the group, because he's the one that signed the order, they think this will help solve the problem. Yep. And these same folks are the ones that will tell you that they got all the answers. Listen, y'all, I learned early in life, none of us, not a single one. And if you say you're not in this group, not only are you ignoring reality, but you're a liar. None of us have all the answers. But the answers these folks are coming up with, really? But this is how they operate. We put on what is obviously one of the most stupid ideas you could ever come up with. But what they do to sell it to you, they come up with a fancy name that will tug at your little old heartstrings. Harm reduction kits. You know, as horrible as it is, I would be more inclined to accept it if you were simply honest about it. Meaning, instead of you coming to me with some crap about a harm reduction kit, just tell me the truth. Look, we tried to stop the illegal drug problem. We're losing the war. We lost the battle. So it is what it is. I can live with that. I may not like it. I may not agree with it. But it's the honest to God truth. And as I've told you, God knows how many times, the truth is what the truth is. It doesn't matter if a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent tells you. If it's the truth, it's the truth. It doesn't matter if somebody white says it, somebody black says it, or somebody else says it. It's still the freaking truth. And the truth is, this is flat out stupid. $30 million. I guess the good news is we've only got a little less than 3 years of this insanity still to go. Again, my fellow Louisianians, I just hope with every fiber of my being you remember this. And the next time you have an opportunity to vote, the next time you have the opportunity to engage in what is arguably the most precious right we have, that and the Second Amendment, let's not forget that, I hope that you will remember what we are going through and what we're gonna go through before the next 3 years is over. Because you know what? As an American, you deserve better. As that shining beacon on the hill that the rest of the world is willing to swim through shark-infested waters, cross burning deserts to be a part of. We deserve better, y'all. But that's okay. You'll probably agree. It's a harm reduction kit. You can't make this stuff up, y'all. And this is what's leading the free world. Wow. Just wow. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done, come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
The Post on Church Point Road in Gonzales would like to invite everyone to their newly renovated events hall, a beautiful 9,600 square foot facility that features a 5,500 square foot main hall and a separate 600 square foot conference room. Renters have access to our huge kitchen, large stage, tables, chairs, bar, and covered outdoor cooking. So plan your next wedding, party, conference, and more at The Post on Church Point Road, Gonzales.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready, and health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Welcome back to the final segment of today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Don't know how many of you paid any attention last week to the lawsuit filed against the National Football League by former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores. He alleges rampant and institutional racism in the NFL as it pertains to general managers, head coaches, front office personnel. Quote, "The NFL remains rife with racism, particularly when it comes to the hiring and retention of black head coaches, coordinators, and general managers. Over the years, the NFL and its 32-member organizations, the teams, have been given every chance to do the right thing. Rules have been implemented, promises made, but nothing has changed. In fact, the racial discrimination has only been made worse by the NFL's disingenuous commitment to social equity." End of quote. The NFL, by the way, says it will fight these claims, which are, quote, without merit. Here's the problem I have with this. As a fan, with an emotional investment, not to mention a financial investment if I'm buying caps and jerseys and tickets and paying for parking, et cetera, I want a winner. I don't care what the color of the skin of the coach happens to be. I want a winner. But there's a deeper problem here. Let's say, for the sake of the conversation, the NFL says, okay, maybe there's some merit to what you're saying. So aside from the Rooney Rule, where it's mandated you have to interview a certain number of African American candidates, what happens when I, as a fan, am forced to accept a coach based primarily on the color of his skin. What happens if that coach is not a good fit with the team for whatever reason and they lose? You fired the coach. So do you then mandate that I have to hire another black coach? What happens if he, for whatever reason, doesn't work out? And who gets to be the grand poobah in charge of deciding when you've hired enough black coaches and you can now hire a white coach? You see where this goes? The fact of the matter is, had Brian Flores made the playoffs, he'd probably still be a head coach. Something else that bothers me about this, in the course of making this lawsuit known, he also alleged that the owner of the Dolphins offered him $100,000 for every game the team would lose, trying to improve their draft status in the next go-round. No word mentioned on, one, whether or not he accepted any of that money, and number two, probably more important, why are you waiting until you didn't get the job you wanted to make this public? At the end of the day, y'all, if you're a fan, you don't care about the color of the skin of the guy that's walking the sideline. All you care about is, can he lead us to where we want to go? And at some point, when you keep pushing this narrative, equity, inclusion, diversity, at what point then do you say, wait a minute, African Americans make up 17% roughly of our population, but they make up 70+% of the NFL. So at what point, in the interest of diversity, do you lay off these black players and bring in some Native Americans, some Latinos, some Asian Americans, if you truly want diversity and inclusion? You see where this goes? And at the end of the day, if you got kids in the room, cover their ears in 3, 2, 1. I don't give a damn what he looks like, because the money I spent on tickets, on parking, on jerseys, on caps, on pennants, on all of this stuff, if he loses, am I supposed to feel better? Oh, well, at least he's black. Really? Are you that freaking stupid to insult me like that? But this is what we've become, y'all. This is what we've become. And sadly, so many of us have become so easily influenced that all you have to do these days is slam the race card. Play the race card, and you can get away with just about anything. Well, my suggestion to you is that you realize our world, and we had this discussion the other day, some say our world is round, others say elliptical, you decide. But the old adage still holds true. What goes around comes around. What? At the end of the day, y'all, if you are truly about diversity and inclusion, we'll take it all the way to the nth degree, if that's what you're truly concerned with. But for God's sake, y'all, I cannot emphasize this enough. And this is for my, y'all accept it in the spirit that it's given, my white liberal friends. We don't need your help in that regard. America is such that the cream always rises to the top. You know what's interesting? This guy, in filing his lawsuit, says, oh, the systemic racism is so deep in the NFL. Didn't they hire you? Didn't they hire you? And I'm not privy to the inner machinations of the front office of the Miami Dolphins, but my gut tells me, had you made the playoffs those last 2 years, we wouldn't be having this conversation. At the end of the day, y'all, all we want is a winner. Do you have any idea how many black folk are rooting for Joe Burrow? Not because of anything other than he's a good guy. He's a baller. Joe is what Joe is. And you gotta love a guy like that. Skin color doesn't enter the picture anywhere until those on the left bring it into the conversation. Some of y'all not gonna get that till later, but that's okay, as long as at some point you get it. I was so happy to see that the Saints decided, you know what, we're gonna promote from within. Instead of giving me this sham insult of, oh, we went out and got a black coach, y'all ought to be happy now. Really? At the end of the day, our elders taught us well when they instilled in us the belief that it is better to be thought a fool and keep your mouth shut than it is to open it and remove all doubt. You know what's really ironic? The last 2 years, every time you turn on an NFL game, plastered all over the field, end racism, end hate, this, that, the other, racism, racism, racism. But if I take him at his word, the ones that have been preaching to us the loudest and the longest about racism, according to Brian Flores, they're the most racist bunch of all. Go figure. 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Old School Barbecue is where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Good food, good people, good atmosphere, and we'd love to see you. Make it a point. Come on by sometime in the near future, and you never know who you might see when you walk through the doors. Uncle Roy, Betsy Barnes, Dr. K. Solar, Jonathan Poche, Buddy Sanjay, Roger Cador, and the list goes on and on and on. But my time's up, y'all, and I gotta go. But this day, maybe more so than any other in history, I give it to you. You know what? You're right. America, we ain't perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you realize he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Either way, there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. We'll see you tomorrow. God bless.